Thank you, everyone, for coming. I wanted to call to order this regularly scheduled board meeting of the Strategic Housing Finance Corporation. We're calling this meeting to order at 11:01 a.m. Ms. Honeycutt, would you be able to do roll call for us?
President Jan Winning.
Present.
First Vice President Keisha Prince.
Here.
Second Vice President Ashley Huddleston.
Here.
Director Julio Gonzalez Altamirano. Director Carrie Dorman.
Here.
Director V. Arce.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Honeycutt. If someone would reach out and see if there's technical difficulties for Julio Gonzalez Altamirano, I know that he just texted me that he plans to be with us. So moving to our agenda, we have a public forum, item number 2, citizen communication, and it is my understanding that we do have citizen communication and testimony today. Ms. Honeycutt, can you tell us who has signed up?
Ms. Hodges.
Yes. Okay. Ms. Hodges, welcome. We have a protocol of a 3-minute testimony. I don't know if that's news for you, but I'm going to help us both keep track of this with our little...
Okay, my name is Sedalia Hodges. I'm a resident at Decker. I've been there ever since they first started renting out. I've been there practically 4 years. And right now, I have a lot of issues. First of all, thank you all for meeting with us today and helping us hopefully resolving some of our issues at the residence, Decker residence. But and I appreciate Bassa for coming and organizing us and teaching us how to, fight for our, issues and get things straight. Also, I want to thank the strategists in RP too for listening to our problems and hopefully helping us resolve some of our issues. One of my issues that I'm really passionate about is the towing situation. It's y'all have changed some issues, some rules on the towing, but there are some it still needs to be focused on because there are some serious issues. A lot of towing still taking place over there. And the reason I'm really passionate about towing is because a lot of people, when they signed their lease, they didn't sign up to, they didn't sign into their budget to pay for towing. And towing is very high. And so that's why it needs to be looked at. And so, a lot of people that live over there is on fixed income, and they can't really afford to pay for towing, and they get their cars taken, and a lot of them don't get their cars back. And we need our cars, to go to work and take the kids to school, and if you can't do that, you can't go make it to work. You're gonna lose your job if you don't have a way to get to work, and then you lose your job. You won't have no money to pay for your rent, and then next thing you know, you're gonna be evicted because you can't pay your rent. So you see the change reaction the towing probably can cause, and they're not very considerate people when they come to tow. They don't want to talk to you. You can't talk to them about the towing and all that, and so it just become a big problem. Also the property cleanliness. We need more mains, janitorial services for cleansing the building. And the outside is beautiful. They do a beautiful job keeping the environment looking real good, but the inside is almost a disaster. And it's dirty, and it doesn't clean at all. And so we're trying to find a solution to try on there to try to see what works, to get some of the marks up, to get the building clean, and then if we find stuff that works, then we'll tell them about it. But right now, they need to find some kind of solution to get all the marks and stuff up, off the floor.
Is that what, did I cut you off, or is that what you wanted to say?
Well, I know my 30 minutes is up, but I just have some other things I need to.
Maybe one more item, if you have a second.
Yes, there is. Mostly about the cleaning. That's what I'm focusing
Okay,
on.
all right, thank you.
So my understanding is they use the main men's to do janitor work at 2. We only have 2 main men that actually hired by the
Okay.
you know.
So,
they need,
ma'am, I'm really grateful for you being here today, and I'm very grateful for that specific fact that you just gave us, because it's something we can act on and communicate about. And thank you for your leadership with the tenants. We appreciate that. Our board is extremely interested in tenant satisfaction with our properties. So I'm sorry our time is so limited today. I hope to talk to you again.
Thank you.
Ms. Honeycutt, is there anybody else signed up for testimony?
Yes, Frank Shelley.
Hello, and again, thank you again for giving us an opportunity to have a voice. I am a resident there, resident at Decker, and I've been there for a couple of years. And I have a couple of issues that I'd like to kind of bring to your attention as well. She did mention to you about the maintenance and security of the property, and that the maintenance inside and out of the property, I feel like needs to be addressed more. They do do a good job of doing the landscaping and that, but inside the buildings, the doors, the locks, the floor, the trash in the hall and the stairways, the spider webs in the corridors, the need of power washing in the garage, bird poop, things like that. It's still there since I've been here. Yes, they have had a power wash once or twice, but it's not enough. It needs to be more often. Security of the property and the building inside and out. I've had a vehicle actually stolen from that property. I've asked the maintenance for some type of video or something for it, and yet I've not yet gotten that to help with I have a police report, I have a case number, I have for all of that. I've had my windows broken twice, I've had 2 flat tires. There's other individuals that could probably say the same thing about the security of it. We also said that we have security with the buildings, and we have the little locks on the thing. None of the gates lock. None of them lock. If they do lock, we'll have an issue with trying to get it open. Our little thing with that lock. We have I live on the 4th floor, and so the double doors that I have are always closed, and I was trained that at least one door should be open. It's a fire hazard, and all the doors are constantly closed, be it that the magnet on the doors are not working or for whatever reason. There's exit signs. They got the little things that hold the exit signs. They're, hanging down in the doorway, and I'm 6'4", and I have to duck to avoid it. And it's there for a period of time. And again, the towing situation, I've had my vehicle towed twice, and one of the times that when I went to register and I gave my information to the administration and they typed it in wrong. And I have the paperwork and show that, and with her handwriting, I gave it to her and she wrote it over again, and then she typed it in wrong. My vehicle was towed off, and I explained to them that, hey, I did everything right, and that the tow company, they went through it again. She took the time to find out, says, oh, right here. I said, well, they entered this information to the computer. I don't. This is her handwriting. And I still hadn't been reimbursed for that, too. What's the other thing? And then just the level of the consistency of management. The management has changed a number of times, and I understand that, and I respect the fact that they may be inheriting other people's issues, other management issues. So, in a timely manner, I would think that some things would change or be different, but there's some things that are still going on with the current.
I appreciate you testifying to your experience. That's very helpful. And we are not in the position today, having not known you were coming, to have this on our agenda, but there is follow-up that staff can report back to the board and to get back to the tenants organization.
Sounds good. I look forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
We really wanted to know what was going on. Thank you.
Madam President.
You can call me anytime. So call me, knock on my door.
Oh, yes, thank you, Ms. Honeycutt. For the record, our Director Julio Gonzalez Dr. Marano is now joined us for the meeting. I don't have the time on that, but thank you. Do we have another
Yes.
citizen testimony?
Shoshana Kruger.
Shoshana Kruger.
Good morning, everyone. It is nice to see you. I'm the project director of BASTA, as many of y'all know. I'm going to be reading the testimony of a tenant who was not able to be here today, but wanted her experience shared. She says, thank you for your time. My name is Mosey Parks, otherwise known as Tennille, and I am part of the Residents at Decker Tenants Association, and I have lived at Residents at Decker for almost 4 months. I wanted to take time to say thank you to Strategic for taking the time to listen and address our concerns, and taking the time for NRP of taking the time to fix some of our issues prior to my residency, such as the pothole, pest control, and getting the pool open. When I first moved in here to the property 4 months ago, it was being kept up, and I noticed that maintenance was doing their due diligence. However, that is no longer the case. There are stains around the property, and I've noticed that trash is not being picked up by maintenance. Currently, there are 2 full-time maintenance men who are both making repairs and maintaining the grounds of the building. It would benefit the complex to have more staff to take care of the needs of the 262 units here. In addition, I wanted to talk about the social support that we are receiving at the property. The current social services coordinator has her hands full, and the resources that we are provided by management are insufficient, and sometimes being referred out to a number that sometimes doesn't work and is not helpful. When I first moved in, I let management and staff know that Sunrise Wayfinder will be assisting me with my initial moving costs and with 1 month of rent. However, due to low staff capacity, I was not able to acquire these funds because my paperwork sat on the shelf for months. This would have been avoided if there was a case manager at Residences at Decker whose sole job was to handle non-traditional streams of income, which are common at low-income properties. In addition, rental assistance often takes a while to process, and this is something I believe management should be accustomed to, but they are still charging $100 late fees. We ask that you look into this matter and figure out how to better support tenants living in low-income properties. Thank you.
Thank you, Shoshana. Ms. Honeycutt, do we have any other
Yes.
community members who wish to speak to this? Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's it going? Thank you all for y'all's time. As some of you guys may know, my name is Bren Bradford, and I am a tenant organizer at BASTA, who has been supporting the Residences at Decker Tenant Association since February. Thanks to all the hard work from the leaders, tenant leaders like Ms. Adela, like Frank, Strategic, you guys, and NRP, all the work that you have put in. Conditions have improved at Residences at Decker. As it was presented by NRP at the last board meeting, tenants, BASTA, Strategic, and NRP have had fruitful meetings with more to come and a lot of improvements in the works. No longer do I have to worry about my car suspension system due to the large pothole in front of the building that's been patched since. However, I do still hold my breath every time I approach the parking lot due to fear that my car got towed. Like others mentioned today, tenants still feel like the towing at the property is excessive, leading to some having to make the hard decision of whether they pay to retrieve their caregiver's car from the tow lot or pay for rent, which, like Ms. Adalia mentioned, could lead to an eviction. Just in the past 30 days, Residents at Decker has filed 13 evictions through the courts. And as some of you may remember, they were the top eviction filers of the 131 Travis County TEPs, or tax-exempt private partnership properties. Sure, you could say, well, not all of those eviction filings will lead to a writ of possession, but those who do face an eviction, who do not face an eviction, are still facing the consequences from that filing. Just 2 days ago, a tenant told me that they were struggling to find new housing because their dismissed eviction filing was showing up on their record and thus not allowing them to have their application approved. Although I applaud some of the efforts that NRP has made to mitigate the number of evictions, such as the lease violation warning system that they recently rolled out, or letting people pay 75% of their rent after notice to vacate is given, this is just the start. Most churches and some rental assistance programs can sometimes only provide upwards to $100. And from what I've heard, the only way that management is willing to accept the 75% is if it is paid in full. Not to mention the obstacles people face to receive rental assistance in the first place. Tenants and I look forward to putting our hands together with NRP and Strategic to map out what it looks like to meaningfully support someone who may be facing eviction, along with other issues that tenants brought up today. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Ben. Ms. Honeycutt, is that the last citizen communication we expect today?
No one has said, Kevin sent a message and no one has replied that they will speak.
Okay, we'll double back if we've missed somebody. Otherwise, let's proceed on our agenda. We have a time constraint today. So we're on item 3, Director's Report, and for that I turn to our Deputy Director, David Dianna.
Good morning, David Dianna, Deputy Director. So if we could go to the next slide for the Director's Report. We have a calendar overview here of just things that are going on in the organization. I will, in the interest of time, just highlight some of these. So the next board meeting is September 11th. And I also want to highlight that we have the Texas Affiliation of Local Housing Finance Agencies annual conference. Some of our directors, I understand, will be attending. While that conference is in Round Rock, I do want to encourage board members to consider getting a hotel. Those schedules start early, and sometimes with the receptions and opportunities to meet with our peers in the industry after, they can go late as well. And so if you're coming from other parts of the region, South Austin, east of Austin, wherever, that going up and down I-35, especially with all the construction and traffic, could be over an hour commute each day.
And just to emphasize, those hotel rooms are paid for by Strategic.
That's right, yes. So
they're
that's paid
available.
for
How do
or
people
reimbursed
do
by
that?
the organization. I would connect with Debbie Honeycutt if you would like to book accommodations. And then we are going to be briefing the Travis County Commissioners Court on October 16th. Just as a reminder, in general, our board of directors is appointed by the county commissioners. And so we will be doing, this is our second briefing of the year to the commissioners, so we're looking forward to that. Next slide, please. If Katie Adams, our Director of Finance and Administration, could join me for our financial report.
Good morning, directors. You see some of the financial report information on the slide on the screen as well as in your board book. I am very excited to get to share with you June financials, as it is the first month of 2025 with pretty significant programmatic revenue outside of sales and refinancing. So in June, we received about $451K of programmatic revenue, including some cash flow disbursements, construction fees, and asset management fees. Next slide, please. I also want to highlight our operating cash distribution. We are currently fully funded in our housing production fund as well as the operating reserve, and working with nearly 31 months of operating funds. Any questions that I can answer on financials? Director Dorman.
Thank you. I noticed the staff report said June 30 non-routine legal costs total $165,000, give or take, of the total legal spend. Is all of that 165.5, is that committed on account of our ongoing issues?
Correct.
So there's nothing else that's been done?
That nothing else. The only thing that may be included in that non-routine one is going to be about $2.8K in some legal review specific to our current lease that we had done. But otherwise, the entirety of non-routine legal costs, yes, is in relationship to the ongoing
issues.
Yes.
Thank you.
And may I just clarify, this is litigations, this is not one specific litigation we're referring to, or is it 165? Like, is this multiple law firms, or is this one law firm?
It is multiple law firms
Okay.
doing work.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Director, is any other requests for clarification or explanation from staff on the financial report? Hearing none, I think we can move on.
Okay. If we could go to the next slide, I think I will be inviting up Shelley Lenz, our portfolio manager, to discuss the June portfolio report. So, Shelley? I do just want to state part of the agenda in this meeting does include our mid-year portfolio report, and so I believe this will be brief, just speaking about June, and then we'll hear about the portfolio performance in general later.
Good morning, everybody. So this here is our, like he said, just tracking June for our portfolio. We have continued to work with Lobby CRE and our sites to make sure that we are gathering all of this data. We're happy to receive the data that we have, and our the managers and regional managers of the sites that are not integrated with Lobby CRE have been very forthcoming with the data, so it's been less of a struggle to obtain. We'll go to the next slide, please. Okay, so this is an overview of the slide prior. Occupancy is remaining consistent at 83% for the year so far. Properties for June that are in the 70s are being flagged as we determine how we can support their teams to increase their occupancy. Silver Springs remains flagged in the category of aged receivables due to significant non-payment issues and possibly a lack of resources being provided and or any potential eviction issues. As for occupancy expenses and budget variance and turnover rate, there are no major concerns at this time. As we dig deeper into those numbers, as we continue to gather this data, we will be able to have some metrics to determine what is a healthy range for each of these categories. And that's all for these slides for now.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Do any board members wish to ask any questions or make a comment?
Okay.
All right, we can move on.
Okay, and that concludes the director's report.
Okay. Directors, we're now moving to item 4, the consent agenda. The consent agenda is before you, and as is our practice, I'll just ask once, does anyone wish to remove this item from unanimous consent? Without objection, the minutes on the consent agenda are adopted. Moving on to item 5, our action items. As is our practice, we will go through, quite a list of action items today, a lot of business to take care of. Staff will provide a short intro. Absolutely the most detailed answers to most of the things that we may seek to ask were provided in the board book, but if there is a question or any confusion and a director would like to ask clarifying questions of staff, that would be the time to do it. Following that, I will entertain motions to consider the resolution as listed, and then we will have debate, discussion, and move on to a vote. So that's our cadence, and starting with action item A, resolution 2025-22, to consider take action to approve employee code of conduct. David, you have the floor, or your staff does?
Yes, I'm going to have Katie Adams, Director of Finance and Administration, present this one.
Could we go to the next slide? The employee code of conduct that is in your board book is a new policy that we're putting in front of the board intended to cover some general behavioral expectations for strategic HFC staff, as well as some specific thresholds and protocols for accepting or offering gifts, drugs and alcohol policies, and whistleblower protections. So it is a comprehensive It covers several different categories of employee behavior. It is intended to supplement some of our pre-existing policies listed here, the non-discrimination, anti-harassment, workplace violence, and conflict of interest policy. There were some small edits made to thresholds in the accepting or offering gifts portion that were discussed on board forum, and I would love to hear from the board on thoughts, discussion surrounding this policy.
Directors, this is the time to ask clarifying questions, and we will have a debate later. Yes, go ahead, Director Dorn.
Thank you. Thank you all for your work on this. On the Section 2 introduction relating to the offering of gifts or benefits up to $75 per instance, is there an annual cap on that?
There is an annual cap.
On how much can be given?
Oh, on how much can be given. I do not believe so. We are expecting that to be a pretty rare circumstance. I believe the specific language does restrict that to nominal gifts such as swag, merchandise, things of that nature.
And then on the 2.2, this was in the forum. It says the board book I have says acceptance is $600 a year, but I think it went to $400.
We did
But
make an
maybe
edit.
there's a different version of the board book than what I had, but I would just ask to make sure it says 6.
That is
4.
yes, Director Dorman, I caught the same thing.
Yeah.
I think there was a revision made, and you may not have it, but as, I think even the one on the form may not have been revised, but I think you put it on our SharePoint or something. I don't know. If you want to direct directors or supply it as a hard copy at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, I'm happy to supply the hard copy. The version that I am referencing and that I intend to have the resolution passed on does have those edits in
That's
there.
what I figured.
I apologize for the difference in that board book item.
I appreciate that. That's great. Question? Yes, Director Orsay.
On the $75 giving, is that per person or is that the monthly allotted?
That is, I believe, per person, maybe more specifically kind of per entity that we may be gifting. So
Okay.
in the event that we are, offering a gift such as merchandise to a certain partner, the 75 would hold there. I don't think we would say every staff member can offer $75. So we can add some clarifying language in there.
Right, so as it pertains to external, right?
Yes.
If we're having a lunch or a meal and $75. So what is the cap on that monthly? So would there be a possibility where there are maybe, for instance, 10 lunches in 1 month?
That would be outside of our expectations, but as it sounds like that question is similar to Director Dorman's question of general cap on the offering, which I don't believe we put language for. So we certainly can do that. Is there a number that the board would like to see for that cap, or would you like us to recommend a certain threshold? Recommend a certain threshold sounds great. We will do so.
You still have the floor, Director Orsay.
Just a general question as well.
Yeah.
I understand the 600 was dropped to 400 per year.
Correct.
What is comparable to other, companies in the industry
We have
within the similar industry? Sorry.
Yeah, it's hard to pull direct comps since we are a little bit of a unique industry. Usually we use a variety of sources, so other HFCs, of course, also the county, things like that. We did have, I believe the county on accepting gifts is higher than the threshold that we had initially set and have since lowered more. I'm unsure about the offering thresholds in the county. I would have to double check on those.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just add that ours may be a little bit higher dollar amount than you might see from, like, for example, Travis County. I'm not sure what the City of Austin's policy is, but this is, most of the workers in Travis County government don't really have to maintain relationships externally. That is just a small portion of their staff that have to do that. Our business is about, having relationships, going out there and finding, partners we can do affordable housing with, that type of thing. That also means we are also sometimes traveling to conferences that are out of state, maybe to high cost of living markets such as New York or San Francisco, and so you go and have a lunch with someone in New York, and you're quickly exceeding like a $50 policy. So we just bumped it up just a little bit, just to provide some of that flexibility. But we do have an annual cap, and then we also are asking our staff to report any meals or things of that nature that they have with external partners to their supervisors, so we can monitor and just make sure that no one is having anything excessive with external partners or anything that we might start seeing if there's issues of conflict of interest or influence or anything like that.
So perhaps we may want to explore market differentials, right? You just pointed out possibly, a meeting outside of Texas where the cap may be different than, or, the cost may be different than the Texas market where it may be lower.
Perhaps, yeah. I would say that would require that we do not adopt this policy today. I think if we're asked to do that, or we come back later and we amend it, perhaps that might be more preferable. We have already had conferences this year without this policy in place, and so I would urge the board to consider adopting it today, and then maybe if there's expansion, because right now we don't have. I mean, our staff are of integrity and aware, but right now we do not have a code of conduct in place, and so I think it's important that we get this in place.
I know you still have the floor. I just want to ask, are you saying you're going to amend during the meeting to incorporate the cap?
I'm saying we adopt, I would propose we adopt this policy today, and then we come back and amend some of the feedback we're receiving at a future board meeting.
Director Darcy, you still have the floor.
I would love to also mention that one of the factors in this policy, in reference to different dollar thresholds for different geographical areas, one of the things we are aiming to achieve is having a streamlined policy that is applicable for our staff in any area that they do visit. So the intention in this policy is, to have it be transferable across situations. David mentioned the meals and refreshments category might be slightly higher than the county, but the gifts category is lower than the county. So just a couple extra pieces I'd love to highlight.
Are there any other questions for clarification before we entertain a motion about this resolution? Any other clarification? Seeing none, then the chair is open to entertain a motion to bring this to discussion through a motion to adopt. Director Prince, you have made a motion. Director Dorman, you have seconded it. We are now able to debate and discuss whether this is the time that we want to weigh in and the pros and cons on this resolution. We also have the president, or the chair, of FNA here, Julio Gonzalez Altamirano, who may or may not have any comments to say from that committee because they did pass on this resolution first. Director Dorman.
Thank you. I would be willing to adopt it today and defer the multi-market concern, which I totally understand, but I would like some clarifying language, as mentioned, because it says up to $75 per instance, and you had raised whether that means per person, per lunch, per this, per that. So I would be amenable to adopting it with some clarifying language, with some direction to staff of, if they don't, to let them know what we mean. We want $75, I guess per instance is fine, and then an annual cap. So that's kind of where I am.
So tossing this back to the staff just for expediency, are you prepared to make an amendment that we can consider today?
I can produce that. I'm not sure at what point in the meeting we might put that back in front of you. I would hate to rush through and say, please review and confirm without giving sufficient time to directors for that. But yes, today I can add some clarifying language on the offering gift section, as well as introduce an annual cap to that amount. Any other requests on?
Directors and anybody else wish to debate this in its current form or the potential amendment to be considered at the end of the meeting? Is that what you're proposing, staff? That by the end of the meeting we could revisit this, put this action item at the bottom?
Yes, and to be clear, this is on the clarifying the gift giving amount. The multi-market
The cap?
concern would have to be addressed
Correct.
in the future. Yeah.
Do you want to restate for the record what it is that you're working on?
The amendments that I will pull together for review today on employee code of conduct will be a annual cap on the amount of offered gifts allowed, as well as clarity on the language currently offering gifts indicates $75 per instance, and I will clarify that language to be more specific.
So as chair, I'm going to keep this item on our agenda today, but we're going to revisit it further down the line as time allows. So for now, it is not going to a vote. Is that, for the record, I just want to repeat that. We're moving on to resolution number 2025-23 to consider and take action to approve the record management policy. Again, Ms. Atkins.
Hello, directors. Next slide, please. The record management policy, sorry for the header on this slide, is a policy intended to outline specific retention thresholds for a variety of documents. In your board book, you will see the breakdown of these different categories, what constitutes employee documents, organizational documents, et cetera, as well as associated retention thresholds for each item. Were there any questions
Directors,
or comments?
does anyone wish to ask a clarifying question to staff at this time? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Director Dorman has moved to bring this to discussion and adoption. Director Prince has seconded the motion. We have discussion. Does anyone wish to speak to this particular item? Yes, Director Dorman.
Thank you, and I apologize, I was on the F&A committee that reviewed this, but on the slide, the last line with an emphasis on good faith records management, earlier in the introduction, it says we use reasonable business efforts. Good faith has a specific legal meaning, and it is a very high duty. I would be more comfortable if we could just stick with reasonable business efforts, because that's really all we're required.
Staff, I don't have it in front of me in terms of the resolution as written. Does this require an amendment?
This would require a slight adjustment to the introduction of the formal policy document, which is attached as Exhibit A on the resolution. So
The narrative.
No, the actual policy itself.
the policy itself
introduction.
includes a background segment. It is a small word change that I can also have produced by the end of this meeting.
I think it could, if I'm remembering correctly, it could just be removing the clause with an emphasis on good faith records management. I think it might just be striking some language, but
Perfect.
It is a change.
yes.
All right. So, directors, it looks like I'll again be proposing that we continue this debate and discussion when the new language is prepared towards the end of the meeting. So we're moving through item B and on to action item C, resolution 2025-24, to consider and take action to approve revised bylaws.
Yes, thank you. So if we could go to the next slide, please. So these bylaw revisions are not meant to be a substantial or change the way in which this organization does business generally. This is after HB 21, all housing finance corporations within the state of Texas became subject to the Texas Open Meetings Act. As you may know, we had voluntarily adhered to the Texas Open Meeting Act in most cases. I'm going to say TOMA from now on for that act. We had adhered to it on a voluntary and consistent basis for the most part. There were some minor things, particularly with the way that we can talk about quorum and the way we could talk about our committees, that required us to make some minor adjustments to our bylaws in order to be in compliance with the Texas Open Meeting Act. And so if we could go to the next slide, please. And so these revisions, and I had posted on the board forum a clean version as well as a black line version so you could see the adjustments that were made. But one was clarifying quorum. We had worked with legal counsel on this, but the Texas Open Meetings Act is not clear on what exactly quorum is. You know, could quorum be how many seats total there are on your board, or how many seats are filled? You know, what is that calculation made on? And so it's up to us to be able to define that and determine what that is through our bylaws. And so I propose that quorum be made up of a majority of the board members who are then seated, who are appointed, seated, and sworn in. And so that would mean, while we do have 7 board seats right now, 1 vacancy that is not part of the calculation. It is those who have been appointed, seated, and sworn in. You know, this would come into effect if we had an additional vacancy. I think then, you know, we would struggle to start to be able to do business as an organization. So that is one thing. The next is basically some changes to the language that was within our committee structure. Under the Texas Open Meetings Act, there are 2 types of committees. One is committees that carry the authority of the board of directors. We don't have those. That is not how our committees, at least as of late, have operated. Those are subject to public notice and open meetings the same way these board meetings are, if you have a committee that has the authority of the board. So change some language acknowledging that we can no longer have those meetings, only virtually if we do give a committee the authority of the board. And then for section 4.6, just further defining that our committees are primarily advisory committees. They recommend, they do not set policy. And so those we do not have to do public notice requirements, have the open meetings, and things of that nature, because they are not setting the policy of the organization. And so there needed to be some language within 4.6.3, which pertains to real estate committee, to just clarify that that committee does not set policy. So that's the conclusion of those changes.
Does any director wish to seek clarification on what it is we're considering? Okay. Seeing none, then I entertain a motion to bring this item for adoption to the table. Is there a motion? Director Dorman, is there a second? Director Arce. Now entering into discussion. I just want to lead discussion real quick and say Executive Committee did review this, and it was actually a shared concern of the Executive Committee that we come into immediate and total compliance with TOMA. And so these changes were basically minimal just to get this through. I know from working with other committee chairs and in Executive Committee myself that there may be other improvements we can make in the bylaws, which can be revisited another time, but the Executive Committee supports this, the adoption of this item. Other comments or questions? Hearing none, then let's go to a vote. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. That's 4 ayes. The resolution passes unanimously. We're moving on to item D, Resolution 2025-25, to consider and take action to approve procurement and purchasing standards. I defer to staff again.
All right. Katie Adams, Director of Finance and Administration.
I'm back.
We're working with you a lot today, Ms. Adams.
I know we have much stuff to
Much business.
achieve.
Yes.
Next slide, please. The procurement and purchasing standards that are outlined in your board books are intended to clarify protocols for any purchasing needs for the organization. So we have several different dollar thresholds with different requirements for each. Can we go to the next slide? Ooh.
It's missing.
let's go back. That's okay. Apologies for that.
There's a great chart that was in our board book, I believe is what you're referencing.
That is exactly what I was referencing.
But you can make it real for us.
I
Just
can.
Walk us through it.
So the procurement and purchasing standards, the first threshold is going to be any dollar amount up to $5,000. That has the simplest process, and then as you may expect, the higher dollar thresholds will become more rigorous as far as approval, documentation requirements, etc. So under $5,000, we are suggesting that invoice and any quotes are necessary for documentation, and approval is a one-level process by director level staff. The next tier is going to be $5,000 to $15,000. That one will require a two-level tier, both director level staff and the executive director. $15,000 to $76,000 is the final tier that is under the 2024 executive director delegated purchasing authority threshold. Anything in there will also be a two-level payment or a two-level payment approval process.
Sorry to interrupt. It may now be in the presentation. If we could try and go to the next slide. There we go.
Oh, how did magic? Thank you, whoever did that, Kevin.
Beautiful, yes. But I'm sure you were retaining all of that verbal content.
This is very helpful.
I bet it is. It's helpful for me too. So once we move into that above 76,000 category, you'll see that we move into a three-level approval process incorporating board president and moving into a required contract to have on file. And then anything above 250 requires a formal RFP solicitation process and that same three-level approval with a required contract. Any questions or
Again,
feedback?
at this time, you're just asking if this languaging and these amounts make sense, and if you have any questions or see anything contradictory, and then we'll go into discussion after the motion's on the table. Any requests for clarification from the staff at this stage? Hearing none, then the chair entertains a motion to bring this for adoption and discussion. Moved by Director Prince and seconded by Director Dorman. Directors, we can have a discussion debate about this now. Would anybody wish to comment? Any of the directors remotely wish to comment? If I'm not hearing you, I apologize. I've been looking at faces. Appears there are no comments, then we will put this to a vote. And I do want to hear and count the votes of those remotely. If you would clarify how you voted last time as well as this time. I apologize, I didn't hear your ayes. All those in favor of adopting the new procurement and purchasing standards policy, please raise your hands and say aye. Aye. Okay, we have 6 ayes, and on the prior, Director Huddleston and Director Altamirano, any clarification on whether you agreed with the adoption of the TOMA compliant bylaws?
Yes, agreed, aye.
Voted aye.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to resolution number 2025-26, a consideration and possible action to authorize an MOU.
All right, so joining me up here is my colleague Alex Radke, Director of Real Estate.
Good morning, directors. I'm going to be pretty brief with this item and then the following one, which is also related to Cambridge Villas, just because I want to note for y'all that we will be coming back another time in the future to kind of ask for sort of final approval of the new partnership docs that will be necessary as part of the restructuring of our existing Cambridge Villas partnership. So the first item you have before you today, which would be the approval of the memorandum of understanding. That's what we consider kind of the first document as we're negotiating a new partnership. I would just like to highlight, and I know this is in the board package, that the MOU does meet the previously approved board terms that y'all approved earlier this spring. And in fact, at this point in time, Fairfield, who's the partner we've been negotiating with, does expect to actually exceed the minimum CapEx investment requirement that we had set. And so we are happy to see that, happy to present this to you, but I will get into more details the next time I come to y'all with full partnership docs, unless y'all have any immediate questions on the MOU at this time.
So directors, we're asking if any of you present or remote have any questions or clarifications you'd like to ask on the MOU as presented in the board book at this time.
Alex, I have a question. On section D of the MOU, it says that we are paying the construction manager Fairfield 7.5% construction management fee. Industry standard is 5%. Is there a reason we're paying above industry standard?
I would have to go back and look. I don't remember the specific discussion on that. It is a pretty significant rehab work that's being done, but I can go back and get some additional information on that if you'd like.
Yes, please. Thank you.
So that's the clarification. We will have an opportunity to debate this motion soon. Thank you, Director Huddleston. Anybody else requesting clarification? Okay. Hearing none, the chair entertains a motion to adopt so we can move into discussion. Do we have a motion to adopt? Director Prince. And a second, Director Dorman. Now is the time to express any hesitations, debate any issues, talk about anything that you would like to flesh out about this item. And Director Huddleston, I am interested in whether you have more to say on your question.
Yes, I can say more. I understand that there is significant rehab with this. I have worked with 8 or 9 different property managers, and on the ownership side as well. I've never seen anyone charge over 5% for a construction management fee. And given that there is so much rehab to be done here, there is a significant fee that will be associated with that rehab. Adding an additional 2.5% or 50% onto the 5%, I would love to see some reasoning behind that. Even with storm damage remediation, it typically doesn't change, and that's not, the construction management fee isn't just something that we'll be paying on the storm damage. It will be on any major CapEx project for the foreseeable future. So I would like a detailed explanation as to why that is, because that is something that we will be locking in for the lifetime of this partnership.
Thank you, Director Huddleston. Would anyone else like the floor to discuss what you've heard or anything else about this MOU? Director Dorman.
Thank you. The 7%, was it in the earlier resolution?
Alex, could you respond?
Oh, no, that was not. So I think, sorry, I've been flipping back and forth. Different.
I hear you.
That was not a term that we preset or passed previously.
So this is the first time that the board is considering that particular term.
Yes, but I just want to point out the MOU has a long list of terms that are in there. And so what we did when we came to you in the spring is I think there were what we considered kind of, I'm going to say the top 6 terms.
Yeah.
And so those were approved. Those are what have been met. But we did not try to get into every single potential term that would be in there. So.
Thank you, that's helpful. Director Dorman, you still have the floor.
So that said, certainly I don't want to pay 50% too much. But, and again, this is maybe more of a clarifying question. What does it do to our progress if we need that negotiated, or can we, as a board, direct staff, we don't want to pay more than 5%, or, I mean, how do we solve it, is my discussion question.
I do just want to raise, we aren't paying it. This is part of the partnership, and so it's just saying that when they are submitting the rehab budget and how we finance that, that they will be including that 7.5% fee. So just for clarification, it's not something that Strategic is paying. It is a partnership cost, so it will absolutely impact the finances of the project. And then as far as negotiations
Hold
go,
on 1 second. Director Dorman, did that explain what you were asking for?
So the partnership will be paying it, right?
yes.
And we're in the partnership.
Yes, as is Fairfield.
Okay.
So it impacts
I-
financing costs, right, in the total budget. But I just want to be clear in language, it's not Strategic paying.
We're not writing a check.
Yeah.
Thank you, yes.
But thank you for that. We do have newer members on the board. These are some of the first times they've reviewed transactions. If you could just, in lay people's terms, explain where that sits, that differential between 7.5 and 5.
So really it'll come down to kind of financing. At this point in time, because we have a little bit of an uncertain closing timeline, when I last spoke to Fairfield earlier this week, they indicated that they would potentially initially close on the deal 100% in cash and then refinance 6 to 9 months later, giving them some time to get some of the significant rehab work done before refinancing. They also do have a specific loan facility in mind, or loan product that they would like to use, but it's a little bit of a timing question. So potentially we do go in on with that lender in loan tool, but it depends on when we close. What Director Huddleston is bringing up is if we have a higher construction management fee, then obviously we're needing to finance more. And so that's where it kind of impacts the financials of the partnership.
Appreciate that.
And I did want to round out on Director Dorman's kind of question about negotiations. So if the board directs us to go back and negotiate on this term, then y'all would not be passing the MOU, so we will not be able to execute it at this time. And we would need to wait until obviously the earliest next the September meeting to bring back potentially a revised MOU or an update on kind of if that's a sticking point or not.
Can you spell out the impact of that delay?
Normally our preference would be to have a MOU executed before we start getting into details on partnership documents, because the MOU is sort of what we consider our guiding document, high level on all of the sort of key terms that we then are going to get into all of the necessary legalese in the partnership docs, which are going to run, hundreds of pages, versus the MOU being a somewhat, shorter, again, kind of, I think of a sort of guideline to the deal and what we've agreed to with our partner. So preferably we would have the MOU executed today so we can then hopefully maybe bring the partnership docs to y'all in September. We could bring the MOU and partnership docs to y'all in September, but that would raise a potential concern that if y'all have an issue with the term in the MOU, we're going to need to revise both sets of documents and have potentially kind of, wasted some time with our partners.
May I offer?
Exactly. I was just going to call on you, Dianna Gray.
Yes.
Our executive director is joining us remotely, but she's here, and I think we've got a little bit of a sticking point, and I would love your comment.
Sure. I think that one alternative route, which doesn't guarantee that we get to documents in September, but could give us a potential route is if the board were to approve the MOU with an amendment to change the percentage to a number that they're comfortable with, we then could proceed to see if, if our partner were willing to negotiate to that point and sign, then we would be set to develop documents. If they are unwilling, then we would still need to come back, but it would at least give us that possibility if we are able to communicate to them effectively that the board had a concern about this particular issue.
Staff response to your ED?
I don't think I have anything to add. That's one of the pathways forward. We could simply hold off on partnership docs, and again, that kind of will potentially be pushing things further out. So I'd just say if we don't pass the MOU today, we could.
But you're willing to write this amendment during this meeting?
I could write anything in there, it doesn't matter. It'll be whether or not our partner is willing to negotiate and agree on it. So what we've brought to y'all so far is what they have agreed to.
Fair.
Yeah.
Madam President.
Director Gray. Yes, Director Altamirano.
I think we should pass the MOU today.
You have the floor.
Thank you. I think we should pass the MOU today. This has gone through the regular process, which is reviewed through the Real Estate Committee. I think there's a misunderstanding about what we are trying to accomplish, which is to move this deal forward. We can certainly provide guidance and instructions to staff, both to explain why this term makes sense in the context of the full deal, as well as to negotiate for the interests that have been expressed. But I want to convey to the members of the board two things. One, it is a package that goes beyond one term. And through policy, we have indicated to staff what we care about as priorities. Passing policy from the dais is something that is going to be unsustainable. And this is the third instance today of where we're trying to do that. Second, partners in our deals talk to each other and observe our behavior. We have said that we want to move expeditiously. Adopting this today allows us to provide guidance on negotiation, which I believe our partners from Fairfield who are on the call are hearing. But it would be very difficult for us to come close to achieving our strategic aim goals if in this environment we gain a reputation as high friction. And I recognize that not all of us get a chance to participate in REC, provide guidance, or absorb these documents. But that is part of why we set up a committee process, so that the folks that are tasked with the lane invest the time to be able to move forward the policy. I also just want to reiterate, we've told the staff what we care about, and they have produced something that, as Ms. Radke said, is within the policy. We can evaluate the staff around meeting the policy or explaining it to us, but what we're doing is we're sort of going back and saying we want more from the partner, whereas the partner has been engaging with us to meet the policy as we understand it. And so I always get very uncomfortable when we try and come up with new standards from the dais for things that have been transactions that have been in work. And I would encourage us to pass the MOU and provide strong guidance. We can do it in writing about what exactly we want to see in the justification for this term. I don't want us to just pick stuff on the day of votes and say this is a deal breaker. I think I'm very curious to see the rationale, and I'm eager to provide guidance to negotiate hard, but postponing the MOU would really undo a lot of the work that we've been trying to do about being the preferential HFC for transactions that meet our affordability goals.
Understood. Thank you, Director Altamirano, and I think that that is a much needed reference back to our committee structure and how do items end up on our agenda. I see your hand, Alex. I'll be getting to you very quickly. I just want to endorse folks to who are newer to understand how much of the work of and business of our entity, our enterprise, happens in committee structure and on the forum as well. So there are ways to air these things ahead of time. You'll see me on the forum from time to time. I hope to see you there as well. And yet, of course, you have the option to bring things to the meeting, and we're trying to do our business today and hopefully have nothing dangle past this meeting. So with hearing what we've heard from the chair of the real estate committee, the rec committee. Thank you so much, Director Altamirano. And Alex and staff, how do you respond to where we're at now?
So one thing that I, in the name of time, and I don't think it's necessarily something that y'all maybe want to hear in board meetings. There's actually been some very, very extensive negotiations on this MOU, and most specifically focused on our level of control over important decisions. And I want to give Fairfield credit that they have understood our need to be an active partner that is actively making decisions, particularly since they've let us know they've got other partners that normally would not be requiring reasonable or sole discretion over certain decisions related to the property. That has been the focus of my team. And so there's been some give and take, but truly I do just want to let y'all know, while the MOU kind of presents without any of the many, many red lines before, but this has gone through, I would say, probably easily 10 turns of red lines on a number of key points that we've negotiated with Fairfield. The construction management fee was not one that we focused on, but there were some other terms that I think I would just like to say were very important and that we were successful in achieving with them.
Thank you. In the interest of time, I'm going to see if the motion on the table requires further debate or discussion. I'm looking to all the directors present and remote. Director Huddleston, any further comments before we take this to a vote?
No, and I'm fine to pass the MOU. I was curious and I would like to know about the difference in the construction management fee, and we can, Alex, you can get back to me on that.
Yeah, will do.
Okay. All those in favor of passing the Memorandum of Understanding Resolution 2025-26, please raise your hands and say aye.
Aye.
There are six ayes, and the motion passes unanimously. Moving on to action item F on our agenda, resolution number 2025-27, consideration and possible action to authorize the formation of SHFC Cambridge Villas Land LLC, the grant request.
So as I'd mentioned, this is also related to the restructuring of the hopeful restructuring of Cambridge Villas. As a reminder, when we are entering into a new partnership, we create new affiliate entities. And so this is asking for permission to create the SHFC Cambridge Villas Land LLC, which will be 100% controlled by Strategic HFC, and will be the entity listed as owning the land for Cambridge in the ground lease document that will be part of the partnership structure. Any questions?
Directors present and by remote, any clarifying questions you wish to ask at this point before we consider the motion? Then the chair will entertain a motion for adoption of this resolution. That's moved. So moved. Do you want to say it out loud?
So moved.
Director Dorman has moved, and a second. Director Prince has seconded this motion. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 That is 6 ayes for resolution 2025-27. Moving moving on to item G on our action agenda. This is consideration and possible action to authorize negotiation for the acquisition of limited partner interests in Cambridge Villas.
So staff is recommending that this item be pulled from the agenda. Alex, I don't know if you'd like to.
Yes, we had been hopeful to come to terms with our existing partner in Cambridge Villas for acquisition of their interest, but at this time we have not been able to agree to a mutual sales price. So we will hope to come back to you all in the future with a price.
Thank you. Moving through our agenda on action items, we're on item H now, Resolution 2025-29, to consider and take action authorizing the Executive Director to negotiate and execute a lease agreement for office space.
Thank you. So before I get into that, I do just want to, President Wendig, we are significantly behind schedule. I know we have 2 items that we have to revisit for a vote and that we may have a quorum issue in the future. So I would just recommend after this item, we revisit the Code of Conduct and Record Management Policy before.
That would be excellent.
Because everything else in the agenda would be discussed. Okay.
Okay.
So if we could go to the next slide, please. All right. So staff here at Strategic HFC is recommending we move from the office. The reason for that, as some of you may be aware, is we've just had some issues, particularly around heating and cooling of this space. Last year, we signed this lease to start June 1st. Our move into this space was delayed a month because of issues with the excessive heat within the office. Since then, we have not been able to control the temperature in our office space. It at times has been extremely cold, and at other times it is. It's been. One side of the office would be cold, the other side would be hot. We are not getting the responsiveness we would like from our landlord. And so while I think we've done a great job of making this a wonderful place to come and work, physical office space, thank you to Katie and Mighty Soul for that, we believe it's in our best interest to move. And so here on the slide, I am presenting to you some information about our general pricing. Like I said, I am not recommending that we renew at this space, so I don't want you to look at that pricing and be like, oh, let's just continue with that, because I have other options that I'll recommend to you today. But we are paying about $86,000 or $87,000 per year in rent. This is about a 3,100 square foot space. Our lease expires October 31st. I also put up here that the building occupancy number, this is based on data we received from CBRE in June. This building's occupancy is at 31%, which is, while the office commercial real estate market is a little bit soft right now, that is substantially low occupancy. And so that's just an indicator, I think, of certain things that I'm explaining about why we need to move. This is also a good time, I think, to start looking at the market and finding a new place for office a new place for Strategic to office out of, because the commercial real estate market has been soft and it continues to be soft. And so I think we're seeing deals right now that we may not have seen a few years ago and that we will not see a few years from now. Next slide, please. So we have conducted a search. We have hired the commercial real estate firm CBRE to assist us with this. We provided criteria to the agents, which included, we hired a lot of people this year and last year. That came with certain expectations of what their commute may be, whether that's long or short. But they know where they knew where they would be coming, and we wanted to make sure that we don't do a drastic change in geography where someone's commute goes up significantly, and it's just a quick change on. So that's all to say, we kept it to this same general geographic area that our office on La Posada is at. We had 9 offices that were within our criteria, both operationally and price-wise. That was presented to us by CBRE. Staff did visits to 4 of them, and then now we have 2 finalists. So our 2 finalists are the La Costa Center at 6300 La Calma, literally right across the street. And then Centennial Towers is at 505 East Huntland Drive, and that is just across I-35. If we go to the next slide, I have a map so you can see what their location is in relation to our office. So you see we're just, this is not going to be a dramatic change in the location of Strategic HFC's offices. If we could go to the next slide. So the resolution that we brought before you today is not on a draft lease, but rather the bounds of the terms that we would expect from either option. The reason why we are bringing this resolution to you today and not waiting until we have a draft lease later is because both spaces are going to need tenant improvements. There will be demolition of walls, flooring, and cabinetry. There will be new paint, new flooring, new doors, new walls, things going, a redesign of the space going up. And that's going to take time. And like I said in the previously, our lease expires October 31st. And so we need to get that started as soon as possible. So if we were to wait until the September board meeting to have authority to move forward, I'm concerned at the money we would be spending on holdover provisions at our current space, which would be 150% of the rent that we're currently paying. So every month past October is 150% of the current rate. And so we also have our agents engaged with our current landlords at this time to discuss an extension maybe where we don't have to pay a holdover. It would just be of a few months, but we need to get this construction work started as soon as possible. And I want to make this, I want to stress this, the landlords at both options have agreed to pay all tenant improvements. So this will cost us, other than like maybe low voltage wiring, the furniture needs we have and things like that are moving costs, the landlords are going to pay for all of that, which is, in my experience, is not something that you would see in years prior. And so if we go to the next slide, I'll just show you kind of what we're looking at. We've run through test fits at both spaces, so this is kind of what we're looking at La Costa, where we'd have a boardroom that meets our needs. We would have an adequate open office space, additional meeting room space for the team, as well as a break room, and excited to share that both options have a sink in the break room, which we do not currently have. And so we can go to the next slide, and then we'll see what Centennial Towers kind of test fit looks like. And so here, same thing. This is on the 4th floor, a little bit nicer space, a little bit smaller, but an efficient use of the space. And so this meets our needs the same way. We'd have both a boardroom and a conference room, a break room, and then open office space, and then private offices for the management team. If we could go to the next slide. You cannot see anything on this slide, unfortunately. So what I have here on this slide is what the rental terms are, so I'll verbalize them for you. So I provide for sort of, just so you can understand of what the increase may look like at either option. So La Costa Center is the more inexpensive option. In commercial real estate, things are done by cost per square foot per year. And so La Costa Center is full service, $26 per square foot per year. With the square footage we have, that equates to about an annual rent of $108,000 per year. And that's an increase of about $21,000 over our current rent. Centennial Towers is a bit more expensive, but it is in a bit higher quality building and amenities and things of that nature. So that is a $39.40 per square foot per year triple net. So that includes base rent and operating expense estimates. That would come to an annual rent of $132,000, and that's an increase of about $44,000 over our space here at La Posada. There are also, La Costa Center is offering 7 months of abated rent, which means we would not be paying rent for those months at the beginning of the lease term. And so that would mean that the first year of our lease, we'd only be paying $45,000, which means it would be cheaper than, if we were to negotiate an extension here. And then Centennial Towers is offering 3 months of abated rent, and that comes out to $99,000 for the first year. So still a little bit of an increase of what we're paying now, but it's also for a much better product. building stock and amenities and things like that. If we could go to the next slide, there are things that I want to highlight that are consistent between both options. We would have an initial 5-year term, so this would be Strategic HFC's long-term home for the next 5 years. We had done very short leases here at La Posada, which is not industry standard. It's usually 3 years minimum. You get a better deal if you do 5. And so we've looked at 5-year term, option to renew an additional 5 years, and then both are saying 3% rent escalation annually. So those are consistent between both. If we could go to the next slide. Why keep Centennial Towers in the running? It's the more expensive option. It's a higher quality building, and this would be the long-term home for Strategic. There are amenities that might be nice for our staff to be able to utilize. There's a gym there. There are showers there. Say someone wants to ride their bike to work and they get all sweaty. There is a shower on site that they could utilize, or if someone wants to take their lunch break and not pay a gym membership, there's a gym there. So that's nice. There's an additional conference room space available for sign up, no extra charge for that, but there's just additional space within the building. Negotiations are not yet complete on this one. We have done 2 passes back and forth. They did not come down as much as we would have liked them to, but we could continue the conversation, see if we can get the price down further beyond that $39 per square foot per year. While it is smaller square footage, I believe, in my opinion, it is a more efficient use of space, and the test fits are a little bit better. I have a little bit of concern about some of the natural light for some of our staff at La Costa. But look, that's all to say. La Costa would still be a very nice space. But yes, the natural light and views are better at Centennial Towers. It's on the 4th floor. From some windows, it's kind of far away, but you can kind of see downtown. That's kind of nice. And then its proximity to the link and other amenities is a bit better. Those are things, restaurants and places, you could spend your lunch break or do something, what have you. So that's just why it's in the running still. If we could go to the next slide. And so this is the timeline. So today, not to be presumptive, but there would be the board authorization. And then next week, staff would, I would anticipate, make a final decision between those 2 options, and then we would have the lease drafted. 2 weeks from now, the lease would be executed and construction would start. And then September through November is when the construction would take place, about 60 to 90 days probably on that. And then November, December is when the move would occur. And we would do this sensitive to when we have a board meeting to make sure that there's no interruptions to that. And so if we could go to the next slide, just to kind of wrap up. Our recommendation is, while we do have 2 different options, we're asking for maximum flexibility for this selection. The terms in the resolution are the upper bounds of what we would expect to pay. There's not to exceed numbers in there. We would direct our agents to negotiate further with Centennial Towers, see if we can come down any further, and then the leadership team staff would meet to make a decision in the coming days, both based on economic considerations, the test fit arrangements that we've seen, and then the intangibles. If the option is, if the choice is Centennial Towers, is that actually, worth it? But making sure we do consider those. And so that would conclude the office lease presentation.
Director, does anyone have questions at this time for information from staff and clarifying? Yes, Director Dorman.
Thank you. Is there any buyout on our current lease?
No.
And I'm assuming we have truly reached impasse with landlord.
This landlord, yes, we have hired. Earlier in the year. We did hire counsel to send a demand letter because we were not getting responsiveness on fixing this HVAC issue. We've had office closures because of this issue, where it just was not comfortable for staff to be able to be productive here. We've conducted staff surveys, and we were finding while we're doing, staff are mostly satisfied. The office is the thing that gets dinged. And so it is important to us that we try and fix this situation, and it has not occurred.
I would say we're there.
Yeah.
So moving costs, you mentioned moving costs, low voltage wiring, and furniture. Do you have any estimate on that?
It's relatively I would say $5,000 to $10,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
Because
booth
these.
could be done for 5,000 to 10,000.
Yes.
Any deposit involved on the?
Yeah, the security deposit would be, it's based on financials. They've been provided our financials. We have not heard back on a reaction from it. Our financials are pretty good though. At minimum, it is the last month's rent, equivalent to the last month's rent.
So
is the security
maximum
deposit.
$8,000.
Yeah.
Maximum about $8,000. No, that's what we're paying now, 78.
Depending on the option, yeah, it would be at some low five-figure fee. Yeah.
Okay.
Number.
And then on your arrow, your timeline up there, it looks like there's going to be some amount of time we're paying double rent.
150%, so 50% more. That may be
But
just
we're
for.
going to be paying the new and existing?
No. Both are offering abated rent. The lease rent payments do not start till we occupy the space, so that we are not paying anything until the work is complete and we are able to move in. So we would only be paying for one space. These spaces are also offering what's called swing spaces. And so if we wanted to move twice, we could. There's space within those buildings that we could occupy while the work is finishing on our suite. We still haven't decided what our preference is, if we'd rather see if we could do holdover, maybe a 2-month lease extension here or something like that. But we would not be paying for 2 spaces at the same time.
Okay, and the abatement, so the lease starts on occupancy. Does the abatement then go from there?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any directors have further questions for staff? Director Arce?
What would be the cost and the differential in cost on Centennial versus Costa?
It would be on an annual basis. Find the chart again. It would be about 24,000.
24,000 than what we're currently paying.
No, this is a 24,000. So Centennial is $24,000 more per year than La Costa Center is.
Okay. But from what we're currently paying?
What we're currently paying, it would be a $45,000 increase.
For each?
For Centennial.
For Centennial.
And then La Costa Center is $21,000 over our current payment.
Now, and I know that it's being negotiated, but these spaces do 5-year terms. So when you're saying $45K annually differential, is that for year 1 or is that throughout the 5-year term?
That's for year 1, and then there's a 3% escalation in either case.
So that $45K will continue to go up 3% every year for the next 5 years?
Yes.
Okay. The other question that I have is, what is the seating space at each? Do you know how many desks each space holds?
So we provided that criteria to both our agents at the front end to let them know what they needed to be able to accommodate, which was generally about 10 workstations and 5 offices, and plus conference room or meeting space and boardroom. And so that's been factored into the test fit at both.
Okay. And the strategic plan to grow in the next year?
No, we don't. Not at this time have we had any plans of growing. No.
And I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm new, but that you guys have hybrid seating, hybrid schedules, work schedules right now. So are we still assigning desks on hybrid schedule?
Yes, we ask everyone to come in on Tuesday, so it's not as if we could stagger where some people share a desk or something like that.
Right.
And generally, our hybrid schedule still has people in the office 2 to 3 days a week. Okay. And so. Yes, so we have assigned desks, plus an extra 2 workstations for contractors.
Okay. That's it. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Director Arce. And I understand that you did avail yourself of staff to ask some other questions ahead of time, and I appreciate that, so that you were prepared for today. And I appreciate staff being available on short notice for those questions. The specifics on this resolution were delayed as we asked for counsel to help in the formation of that resolution, so it came out late to the board. I apologize for that. Normally we would be on the forum and able to hash some of this out. Other questions at this time? Director Dorman.
Sorry, I forgot. Parking, is there any problem?
Yes,
Is that
there's-
paid, is it free, is it?
Yeah, so it's free. It's about 4 spaces for every 1,000 square feet at each space. However, that is at this time based on the occupancy of those. The parking lots are always open. Both options have both surface lots and structured parking, so parking garages, which is nice. We don't currently have that here. So if someone wants to park in a garage, it's their car's not getting hot. It's not. They're not walking out in the rain. That's just a nice perk, I think.
Director, are you done, Director Bloom?
Yes, I am, thank you.
Sorry. And the last one, I just want to check, what notice does our current landlord require? Do we have to give 60, 90, or what's the requirement?
Strangely, we do not have to provide notice under the lease. They have notice for certain reasons, but not for holdover or move out or anything like that.
Okay.
And I do have a question outstanding to the council we hired for this lease, just to confirm what we're reading, but he's out of the office this week.
Okay, so essentially notice could be given at any time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I have one quick question for staff. In your remarks, not in the table, which flew by a little fast, but if you know off the top of your head, none of these options are smaller per square foot.
That's right.
Because you said it's, yeah.
Yes.
I think you meant the smaller of the two
Yeah,
square feet, but
Centennial.
none of them are smaller than this.
Centennial is
Yes.
smaller than La Costa.
Yes.
We would have about 4,000 square feet at La Costa and about 3,300 at Centennial.
And here we have
3,100.
That's correct.
But La Costa, I think there are some minor inefficiencies with the shape of the office in that space. So while it may seem like more space, Centennial really is, because it's like more of a square shape. You can really get efficient use of the space out of that.
Thank you so much for all the detail and the transparency. At this time, the chair is entertaining a motion to adopt. Is there such an emotion? Director Prince so moves. Is there a second? Director Dorman? I'm sorry. I think there might have been one of the remote directors who was seconding, but I missed you. Meanwhile, moving forward, let's put this to a vote. All those in favor of adopting this resolution to proceed with moving to a different office space, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Director Altamirano, I have not seen a hand. Oh, there's your hand. We've got 6. Thank you so much. Moving with our agenda at this time, does staff have item A and item B ready for consideration and vote?
Yes.
And if you'll just highlight the distinct differences. Thank you so much, staff. Thank you. Starting with action item A, resolution 2025-22. Is it now is it named version 2 or is it named the same?
It is named the same.
It's named the same. Go forward, please. And tell us
The
what
changes on the Employee Code of Conduct you will see are in Section 2 and 2.8. They are highlighted on the copies that I have just handed out. Changes include the aggregate annual total for the offering of gifts, which I've set at $300 per entity, as well as clarity on the language to indicate $75 per entity per instance.
Does anyone have a clarifying question at this time before we entertain this resolution? Were you able to find the corrections? Do they reflect your comments? Okay. Then do we have a motion to adopt this corrected resolution? Director
Adoption of perfectly amended.
We have a motion to adopt a perfectly amended resolution. Is there a second? Director Prince seconds. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. We have 6 ayes. Moving to action item B, resolution number 2025-23 again. Ms. Adams.
named the same.
Okay.
This one refers to our record management policy. The change requested did appear on the first page in the last paragraph. Previously, there was a third sentence indicating a good faith effort would be made. That clause has been removed. We are a clean 2 sentences on that final paragraph.
Any questions or clarifications on how this item has been changed and a phrase has been deleted? Seeing none, is there a motion to adopt? Director Arce moves to adopt. Is there a second? Director Prince has seconded. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
That is 6 ayes. The motion passes unanimously. That concludes our action items at this time on our agenda, and we have 3 short discussion items. Moving to discussion, agenda item 6, staff.
Yes, is this? Yes, if we could go to the next slide, I believe the first one we're going to discuss today is 2026 revenue projections. All right. If we could go to the next slide. So staff have been hard at work on projecting what we can expect for revenue for the next year. We undertook a similar exercise that we did last year, but we did go a bit deeper on understanding some of the costs that are cash flow dependent. I'm going to hand it over to Katie Adams to go over this slide here.
Hello. We are looking at the 2026 revenue projections based on revenue type. So these revenue types correspond mostly to our chart of accounts. We have categories outlined by what types of fees are contingent, earned, or cash flow dependent. Typically, earned fees are going to be the closest estimates. They are ones that could potentially be deferred in 2026, but otherwise are expected to be received, whereas contingent and cash flow dependent ones, there's more variance included. What we did, as David mentioned, is an initial discounting process on both earned and cash flow dependent fees, where we looked at 2025 market conditions, specifically the net operating income of properties this year, used that to make projections assuming 2026 would be similar. Then, once we had those numbers, we went through an additional risk adjustment process. So we are looking at, for the 2026 budget, putting in, for example, 75% of the construction administration fees that we believe are probable to receive in 2026. I'd love to go to the next slide, recognizing we might want to come back to this one. These are kind of the notes on methodology that we're discussing. 2025 revenue projections were based on a discounted process of total possible revenue, whereas 2026 projections, as we discussed, are based on a discounting process of total probable revenue. So we are hoping to be much closer to our revenue projections in 2026 than we were and have been so far in 2025. The only 2 types of revenue categories that did not receive a sort of double discount process are the interest-bearing accounts that we have, as well as the pipeline projects. Those projects were discounted by each project and so didn't receive additional discounting. Next slide. These revenue projections are, of course, super relevant to our upcoming 2026 budget process, so I did want to share some notes on the budget timeline with you all. We are currently targeting August 21st as a date for the first draft budget to be posted on Board Forum for review and comments. And we have some upcoming Finance Administration Committee meetings scheduled to synthesize any feedback that is received there. Next slide, please. Also in reference to the 2026 budget, these numbers may continue to change slightly, but I wanted to show with these revenue projections, here is what we are currently looking at for the 2026 budget. We are anticipating positive net income in 2026 and similar levels of revenue and expense. Of course, the version of budget that we are planning to release on the 21st will have significantly more detail than this. It will be a full budget rather than just the snapshot, but I hope this gives you a good sense of what we're anticipating and what to expect. Could we return maybe 1, 2, 3 slides ago and see if there are any questions?
Sounds good.
I'm sorry?
If I may just add, I'm sorry.
Please do.
The expenses include if the most expensive lease option.
That is true.
That we just discussed. Yes.
That's helpful.
The expenses on this.
So that was
yes.
accounted
So
for in the budget.
no
Yeah.
surprises there. Okay. Kevin, I think they're asking you to go back 3 slides. Can you speak to it while we're waiting?
Yes, I just wanted to throw this chart back on the screen to show expectations across categories and then the discounting process again. I mostly wanted to open the floor to any questions that I can answer, and I thought this might be the most helpful slide.
This is a discussion item, directors, so there will be no vote taken today, and we can begin now with any discussion, comments, or questions.
President Wenig, may I interject something just for clarification?
Yes.
So with the exception of the first and last line item on this table, the revenue relates to our existing portfolio. Director Adams mentioned the pipeline, but I just want to be clear, these are deals that the board has already approved in some fashion, but have not closed yet. As you know, many closings have been delayed or are in question. We have some deals that are paused. And so when she says we went deal by deal, that was for deals in the pipeline and looking at the likelihood of them actually closing in 2026 and us getting anticipated revenue at the closing table. So just so you're clear what that first line pertains to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or requests for further information at this time? And may I just say that this is a great process you're outlining for us. It's a much improved process over how we've looked at or not looked at things early on and repetitively, and that is the way to do the budget. So I really, really appreciate these early documents. Any comments or questions from?
Nice job.
Excuse me?
Nice job.
Oh,
Thank
you can
you.
comment that way, please.
Nice
Director
job. Thank you.
Please
Dorman.
feel free to make any comments at that time.
We have positive feedback going on here. Okay. No, I appreciate it, and I second what Director Dorman said. This is a really nice job. Do you want to move on to the next item?
Yes, wait, that concludes concludes our revenue projection presentation. Okay, so this one I think is more intended to be a discussion for the board. So I would, staff does not have slides for this. I think this might be an opportunity for if there's any budget priorities the board might have for next year. I believe this is supposed to be a space for that discussion.
Thank you. I appreciate also this being interjected early in our process as we move into the fall. I do think that we're short on time here, and I'm wondering if we could do an invitation on the forum for these kinds of comments and start to give people's priorities, what matters to each of us as a director, what are the things they say you can tell your priorities by where you spend your money. So if people have those formulations starting, why don't we revisit this on the forum? Moving on to item C under discussion items, the portfolio report.
So I'll invite Alex Radke and Shelley Lenz to come up here.
Next slide, please.
All right. Hello again. So we are going to just kind of give you a quick overview of our mid-year performance report. Our goal with this report is to provide you with an overall performance update through June of our operating and our construction projects. At this time, we're not asking for the board to make any decisions. This is more of an informative report, and a deeper analysis is to come with the risk rating system update before the end of the year. The format is there for how the mid-year report is laid out that you have. Next slide, please. So within our operating portfolio, we are currently tracking and hope to track more metrics, but currently tracking a few metrics. The first one being occupancy. This tells us the percentage of homes occupied at the end of the month. This helps us project revenue, spot problems early, and plan for support and efforts in the future. Our turnover rate. Similar to occupancy, per month we look at each property, its move-outs. The move-outs are including those that are scheduled move-outs, non-renewals, or skips and evictions. Let's see. The average operating expenses. We look at the total expenses for the property per unit. In the future, we will have more data to conclude what constitutes a healthy range of expenses based on unit count. This dollar amount here is taking into consideration per month, per unit, over 12 months though. So the total spent for 12 months if we were looking at it annually. Next slide. So this slide, at the direction of the board, we were happy to pull data and compare management companies that we have within our portfolio. This allows you to see side by side how each of our management teams are performing. It is worth noting that a few of our management companies only have one property. So it's not, each one has multiple or several. There are a few that only have one property that we're using here. Another metric that we have added here is the aged receivables. Aged receivable is going to take into account all rents that are due at the end of the month, so anything that is unpaid, but it is not just for that current month, it's also for anything that is unpaid at that point per unit. This metric is going to help us understand the overall financial health of the property and predict upcoming potential turnover. Next slide.
I'm going to talk to y'all just a little bit about the construction portfolio. One thing I want to first note that y'all might already notice on here is that our 2 under construction RISE properties are not listed in this chart. We did also separate them out in the report, which you might have noticed. We did so for a couple of reasons. One, as y'all are aware, due to the ongoing litigation, it's a little bit uncertain whether those properties are going to ultimately end up in our portfolio. I will also note, due to their construction challenges, their numbers would really skew what we're looking at as far as kind of average construction metrics, which we want to kind of give y'all a little bit more of a balanced picture. So again, to note, the RISE property and that the RISE under construction properties are in the report, but right here you're seeing our other under construction properties, of which we have 4. We were happy to see that the delays that we're seeing are relatively minor right now on our under construction properties. And also excited to see that we do have one property that is close to completion. that is Daffin Flats, and so we would expect them to begin lease up hopefully by the end of this year, and then ultimately convert to being part of our operating property sometime next year. And then one other thing I wanted to draw your attention to, if you're looking at kind of cost between the different projects, is you might notice that Banyan at Breaker, which is our first workforce deal, does have a higher cost per square footage. One of the reasons for that, and Kevin, if you could go to the next slide, please, is due to the building typology. So the majority, well, all of our existing operating deals are fairly typical, I would say 4 to 6 story multifamily apartment complexes. Banyan at Breaker is actually going to be built as conjoined duplexes, so 2 duplexes with 1 shared wall, a little bit of a lower density type of model, but that does end up being a little bit higher construction costs. I just wanted to point out to you. Next slide, please. One other thing that was included in the report was our first stab at using strategic AIM. So as a reminder, in July, y'all passed strategic AIM, or AIM standing for Affordability Impact Metric, as a means of measuring the impact we are having in achieving affordability within the community. It takes into account a number of metrics, which I'm not going to get into the full calculation here. We do kind of have a kind of very high summary on the slide. My team is still just starting to kind of really understand how we want to use and understand strategic AIM. So as sort of a first exercise, we did go ahead and run a calculation on our existing operating properties and under construction properties. I'm really happy we did so because actually the report that we sent out to y'all, there was a mistake in that calculation, which we realized in the last couple of days. And so we've gone in and fixed the numbers here on this slide, and we will send y'all a new revised report with updated AIM calculations. So right now, our operating portfolio, if we're looking at kind of average AIM scores per property, the average property size is around 251 units, has an AIM score of just over 12,000, and then a 1.66 average AIM per unit per year. The construction projects tend to be a little bit larger right now, have a little bit lower of an average AIM score by project and per unit per year. I will note, because you just saw there's only 4 projects under construction versus the 17 operating properties, and one of the things that's bringing down that score a little bit that I want to note is our first workforce deal, which is a trade-off kind of, I believe the board has talked about in the past, that the workforce deals typically are not going to have the same level overall of deeper affordability that we can achieve through the low-income housing tax credit program. And so we did, just to let y'all know, when we took Banyan out, all of a sudden the average AIM score by project for the under construction projects is actually a little bit higher than the operating ones. No huge differences, but just to note kind of obviously how, single projects can kind of impact sort of these averages that we're seeing. My team's going to continue to work on implementing strategic AIM, so y'all can look forward to seeing these metrics continuing to pop up. But we wanted to sort of go through this first exercise again for ourselves, but also so y'all can start seeing AIM numbers and having some idea of kind of baseline, meaning, for now, understanding our operating portfolio is sort of hitting an average of a little over 12,000 kind of AIM per project. Next slide, please.
Okay, this is the year-to-date fee revenue totals. Overall predicted revenue for 2025 is just over $4.3 million. Our actual revenue recorded to date is $8.4, with the bulk of that coming from the restructuring of the Silver Springs partnership. If we were to remove that Silver Springs partnership from calculations, we're just under $1 million received in revenue, which is about 23% of our anticipated annual revenue. Any questions?
Next slide.
Next slide.
The whole question. An additional section we had in the report was a little bit of commentary on kind of general market trends that we're seeing right now. We had a variety of kind of some different stats to kind of help with sort of understanding and thinking about what performance we're seeing within the portfolio. Overall, for the Austin area, multifamily permits are at their lowest level since 2018. We are expecting, and some of that is due to the fact that we've had such a huge delivery of new units on the ground. I think one of the interesting metrics, though, is that Austin still accounts for over 5% of all multifamily deliveries among major markets in 2025, and so I don't think you can overhighlight the fact that the amount of new units coming on to the market in Austin is historic, which, from an affordable housing standpoint, we're really happy to see additional units. It does have the impact, though, of kind of dampening interest and immediately starting to try and build and get new projects going, right? So we have noticed that with kind of a slower pipeline. Next slide, please. While I know it's been a bit of a challenging year on the operating performance metrics with lower occupancy than we would like to see, right, for a healthy property, lower financial returns. Long term, I do want to point out Austin is still considered a healthy market and city. We are continuing to see employment growth. The population is expected to continue to grow at a significant pace over the next few decades. And so while this has been a bit of a challenging year, I just think long term we're still, in a good spot and still expect things to kind of turn around here. Next slide, please. So then these kind of very high level from the market trends. In summary, the supply is still high, but one thing that's been interesting to note this year is rental demand has actually been fairly high, and so there's been a pretty high level of what they're calling absorption of the new units. And we did have at least one market report we found that expected a decrease in vacancy levels by the end of the year, which was good news. And again, I just want to reiterate, while we are finding ourselves in a little bit of challenging times long term, we do expect the Austin market to be healthy and continuing to grow and support kind of growth as well in the multifamily market. Next slide. So kind of high-level takeaways from the report at this time. One thing that we've talked about throughout this year that you will certainly see in the report, and one thing we didn't get into here, but happy to answer any questions as y'all are looking at the full report. We did do one-pagers per property that you can take a look at and kind of see individual property level performance. Occupancy issues were the most frequent challenge we saw in our portfolio, which again, not a surprise at this time. Happily, our under construction projects do seem to be doing well, and like I said, we're excited that we've got Daffin Flats. It looks like coming online with starting to lease up by the end of this year. Due to some of the market challenges, revenue has been lower than anticipated so far. And then again, the report does kind of start laying a baseline on strategic aim and kind of how we can understand strategic aim and sort of, general scores that we might expect to see. And then finally, market conditions, though challenging, we do expect a change looking like hopefully next year. Next slide. And so I want to leave y'all with kind of next steps. As Shelley has started the presentation mentioning, this is really meant to be an informative look at just sort of the data so far in the first half of the year. Separate from this, but kind of following up and utilizing this data is building out and implementing our risk rating system, which we presented a kind of 1.0 version at the beginning of this year. So right now, the plan is in September for staff to have a revised rating system to bring to real estate committee. And then hopefully in October or November, coming to the board with some additional information on that and beginning implementation by the end of the year. And then I also want to note that while this report was very light on analysis, we will be doing a full annual report that will have that risk rating component in it, looking back over 2025, and would expect to have that for y'all in the beginning of 2026. And that is all we have. Any questions?
Thank you, staff. This is a discussion item, and I want to respect that we have the chair of rec here still on the call, even though it's running over, and I know they have a time limit. Director Altamirano, do you have anything you want to say in wrapping up on this item, or that you've heard discussed in rec that would benefit these other directors not in your committee? I believe you're muted, and or you may be saying no. That's fine. Director Huddleston, you are also on the real estate committee. I'm sorry.
I was just wondering if
Executive Director Dianna Gray was.
Kevin may need to unmute Director Gonzalez Altamirano. I'm not sure.
Oh, that's the problem. Thank you so much.
There he is.
There we go. Director Altamirano, you are back. Nope, still muted. In the meantime, Director Huddleston, are you also muted? Okay, our two real estate committee directors are, oh, there they are. Director Huddleston, I think you're free.
Hi, thank you so much for putting this together, Alex and Shelley. I think being able to compare the operators is definitely a stat that has a lot of light on portfolio performance. I am confident that by the end of the year, we can figure out exactly what's leading to this low occupancy, as I think and put some strategies together on how we can help our partners really be able to lift that up. I will say the one concern that I do have, given it is almost the end of leasing season, would be to see a dip in occupancy going into the fall, as we've kind of missed the time that normal people or most people move. And so that is something that I'll be continuing to watch quite closely is that occupancy.
Thank you, Director Huddleston, and thank you for your service on the committee. I know you're quite active working with staff on these items. Director Altamirano, any comment on our first ever portfolio review as a new enterprise under as strategic? It's kind of exciting.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Fantastic report, a lot of data, promising future. 3 takeaways around things that the board may want to take action over. One, our occupancy is compounded by our geographic concentration. We want to diversify our geographic concentration. 2, we want to be thoughtful about how this budget reflects our thinking about next year's budget, given what we're learning about revenue projections and the broader environment. 3, HPF equals MVP, question mark. We need new tools to be able to deliver strategic aim, given just the good news, which is the supply glut, and the bad news, which is a astounding poor policy environment beyond our borders that is making it difficult to deliver affordability. One potential light of hope of that has to do with the Big Beautiful Bill Act's light tech expansion, whatever we want to classify. But I think we all realize that it remains a difficult policy environment. And so when you look at kind of what we're doing well and where the gaps are developing and what levers we have to pull and tools we may have, given the next year probably will still be tough, this report is a real helpful contribution to making rigorous data-driven decisions. End of comment. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you both again for your service on the Real Estate Committee. I do want to say, just in historical context, our portfolio review has been something that in our history was not particularly rigorous and was not particularly well managed, and we had some difficult surprises to deal with as we began to manage our legacy portfolio. And so it has been one of our goals to de-risk anything else in there. And what I'm hearing is that the sifting through, the monitoring, the direct contact that staff are having with property managers and oversight, we are in such a stronger position. I really thank everybody for their service on this. And we're really looking forward to those risk rating system. That's where we're going to look for those red flags early, not when they're hitting us hard. So thank you again. I think that concludes our discussion items for today. And you will look at your agenda on item number 7. It's an executive session. Chair now entertains a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of consultation with attorney under Texas Government Code annotated 551.071. And I apologize to council that we're running a little over, and thank you for hanging in here. Do we have a motion to go into executive session for those purposes? Director Dorman put forward a motion, and Director Arce seconded it. So we're going to clear the room. I'm sorry. Could we all vote on that? All those in favor of executive session, raise your hands and say aye. Aye. We already have people clearing the room. We're trying to move forward. Thank you all. That was unanimous. And we are going back into open session. If my wits are with me, we have no other items still on the agenda. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so we're back in open meeting at 1:59. For the purposes of adjourning and completing our work today, and again, the engagement has been so extraordinary by all directors present and remote. Thank you so much. Yes. Great work. We are adjourned at 2 p.m.
Thank you.